Modding Skyrim with Vortex, Part 25, Community Shaders, Part 2.
Hello, it's Cupshot again, and we are on Part 25 of Modding Skyrim with Vortex for Beginners. A couple of episodes ago, I started installing the community shaders, which, as you recall, are a collection of mods designed to improve the appearance of Skyrim. But then we got sidetracked working on our FPS and GPU settings. While I was getting that set up, I downloaded all the shaders that I wanted to use in order to make sure that they would all work. So I won't be showing you any download processes today. We've gone over that many times before anyway. If you aren't sure of the Vortex download and install process, please watch my earlier videos. Let's go to Nexus and the Community Shaders homepage and learn about our shaders. If you have never downloaded the community shaders before, I recommend watching my part 22 on community shaders before watching this part. Here is the core plugin. Click on it and go to its home page. We are at the Nexus Community Shaders Core Plugin home page. You must install the core plugin first. After that, it doesn't matter which shaders you wish to use. If you have an older PC, I recommend just installing the core plugin and only a couple of shaders, just to see if they work. Remember, when you install shaders, they must compile when you start Skyrim. Refer back to my video, Part 22, Community Shaders. When we scroll down, we can see the list of additional features. These are the 14 extra shader mods that can be installed after you have installed the core plugin. I started by installing the grass lighting, grass collision, skylighting, and wetness effects. After I did that, I started Skyrim and watched them compile. The compiling took about a minute. When they finished compiling, I created a new character and came out of the breeze home. Remember, the very first time that you run the shaders, you get a message that you can press the End key to get a shader control panel. And here you can see it. For now, there's nothing here for us to look at. It is pretty complicated, and for a beginner, all the defaults are just fine. If you failed to compile these 4 shaders, then there is no point in continuing with installing shaders. You can either start researching why they won't install, or just uninstall them and not bother with them. Remember, shaders are not required for any gameplay except to enhance the appearance of the game. You don't need them to install any other mods. When I saw them compile and the game start, I felt confident that I could install more shaders. I hope that you tried installing them and that the compiling worked for you. Let's see what each of the shaders do. As I said earlier, I have already installed all of the shaders that I will be using. You won't be watching me download them all. We're just going to look at their descriptions. The first one is upscaling, and I probably should have installed this first. It does require the display tweaks to be installed. It says that it is a full upscaling suite with native game integration. major performance increase, and improved visual fidelity. But I admit that I have no idea what all this does. You can read the overview. It says that it supports DLSS with Steam, but my NVIDIA app says that DLSS is unsupported by Skyrim, so I don't know what's going on. DLSS is an AI imaging enhancement developed by NVIDIA. I'm not sure what all this does. There isn't much about it on the internet. It says that it works with the display tweaks and that it fixes some other things, so I installed it, and I'm sorry, but I don't see any difference whether this is installed or not. I'm getting 60 FPS with no dropped frames and good GPU usage, whether I use this shader or not. Our second one is Cloud Shadows. This shader casts shadows from clouds, which is nice. And the third one is terrain blending, which makes the terrain realistically blend into objects. The effect can be fairly subtle. You have to look close. The next two are Screen Space Shadows, which puts more shadows into the landscape, and Screen Space Global Illumination. This works on illuminating things in the shadows. SSGI, along with the Screen Space Shadows and Skylighting, which I added previously, all work together to give the surroundings a more immersive appearance. The Screen Space Shadows and the Global Illumination shaders both say that they are performance intensive. That's why I left these two shaders off my most important shader list. My new computer has no trouble running them, and the effect of these three shaders combined is very nice. My last shader is Subsurface Scattering. This shader attempts to create more realistic skin. There was another shader, Terrain Helper, which is supposed to read additional texture slots from landscape records. It says that you only need this if a mod you are using requires it. I'm not using any mods that do, so I've removed it. There are three other shaders that I'm not using. SkySync. It says that it synchronizes the light from the sun and moons and includes an alternate sun path. It sounds fun, but we are warned that it uses a lot of resources and that we need Dynalog to set it up. I'll leave it out until someday when I want to experiment. Hair Specular. This provides artist-friendly realistic hair shading to Skyrim. It looks pretty trivial. I have no interest in this one. Install it if you like. And finally, Terrain Variation, a comprehensive terrain tiling fix that works with all landscape systems and texture types without any reduction in quality. I tried this shader but could find no difference after I installed it, so I left it out for now. I suppose that you can install all of the shaders, whether they help or not, as long as you have the computing power. Now that the shaders have been set up, let's take a walk around and see how nice Skyrim looks. Here is the marketplace before the shaders. And here it is after we added our shaders. Here's the breeze home with no shaders. Here's the breeze home with the shaders added. There's hardly any change. Here we have no shaders. Notice how the character simply walks through the grass as though it wasn't there. And here we have all the shaders. Notice how the grass collision shader affects the grass. Notice also that it does not affect other plants, only the grass. The character still walks through the other plants as if they weren't there. Here is the rain without any shaders. Notice how it doesn't affect the ground. And you can't see it on the character either. And here is the rain with the wetness effects shader. And you can see the puddles. And you can see the water on the character. And finally, here we are in Embershard Mine. We're looking at no shaders compared to all of the shaders. I hope you enjoy the effect. Well, that was all the shaders, and quite a lot to take in, I think. We discovered that some of the shaders made more of an effect than others. I liked the wetness and the lighting ones the best. The grass and the blending, they were kind of subtle, but all in all, it was a nice combination, and I think we made a big improvement to the visual appearance of the game. We're going to move on away from this topic and get into gameplay in the future, so let's have fun doing that.